Thank you, everyone. To Moz, buddy, it was lovely to see you again today. I met you the first time last October in Port Moresby, and I'm sorry to say that I could see the stress and the pain and the trauma of 6 years on you then. And I went to your small place that you stayed in Port Moresby, and you asked if you could sing a song on your guitar. And it was clear to see the heart of an artist. It was clear to see the talent, but you could barely get 2 lines of your song out. And then earlier this year, I come to meet you here at Mandarin to see for myself what was going on and the horrendous circumstances in which our own country is keeping innocent people incarcerated. It's something I never thought I'd see in my life. And you looked unwell, my friend, I'm sorry to say. But today was even worse when I came and sat in front of you with the perspex between us. You, like everyone else here, you've lost weight, my friend. I can see the stress on your face. I can see what 8 years is doing to a human being. And I can only pray and think of the good fortune that all of us here standing and those watching at home and every Australian who watched perhaps us play for this country, of which we were so proud. Our good fortune not to be sitting there and to have to wear the stress of seeing people pass away, people die in front of you, of losing family, of losing friends, of losing children, of Saif up in Kangaroo Point, whose wife is so ill, and his child. And our country won't even let him go 2 kilometres to see his wife in such duress and so ill. You know, many, many years ago, I was so proud to play for Australia, and there's so much that's wonderful about this country. But I tell you one thing for sure, when I pulled on the Socceroos jersey and I wore the captain's armband, I did not play for this. I did not play for Mozamini, locked up for 8 years. I did not play for Saif, not to be able to see his child. I did not play for Farhad Bandesh to be locked for 8 years now in Maita and his artworks taken away, his only way to escape this torture. And it is torture. I've seen it. I say to all Australians, and not just to the wonderful people here, so many of you who have fought for so long, I know, and I see how hard it is.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. And I say to every Australian that this is not right and this has to end. I went to Port Moresby to see for myself, and I saw people so depressed, so stressed, so medicated that a doctor could barely hold a sentence. I saw a man, an Iranian man, a clever, bright artist who couldn't put 3 words together. I spoke to Shamindan, I spoke to Samad, I spoke to Izzatullah, who was a talented young boxer in Pakistan, like any other sports person in Australia, and no different to me when I was 26, who'd been locked up there for so long and yet was so courageous. And in the 24-day siege, when Australia, in our name, when we took away their food and we took away the water, it was Izzatullah in the middle of the night, at his own personal risk, who boarded a small dinghy to go to the nearby island to bring back food for his brothers. What I learnt in Port Moresby was real humanity. What I saw in Port Moresby was real strength, real courage. I saw people who were being demonised and attacked, whose rights were being taken away, who hadn't seen their families for years, and yet were protecting each other, were helping each other in an environment where everything was pointing them towards violence, towards striking out. They helped each other, all of them. And the great irony is this, is that inside Manus Island, I came to learn, they created their own true democracy and they created their own human rights at the very time that our country was taking them away from them. They are amazing people. I learned from Behrouz Booshani some of the terrible acts that had occurred inside that detention. But I finish with this, people. I thought when I went to Port Moresby that out of sight, out of mind was the reason this was going on. And I believed at that time that if we told the stories here in Australia, this would end. And yet today in 2020, these guys are on our soil. They're here in the Mantra, they're in Kangaroo Point, and they're in Darwin. And they're locked up in our cities, they're locked up in front of us. They're in front of our faces. No Australian can say any longer that we don't know. We know. And it's time now to bring it to an end. So please, everyone around the country, on International Human Rights Day, Article 14 says, like so many Australians who've contributed so greatly, including my beloved colleague and former friend, Les Murray, Laszlo Ergay, that it is a human right to be able to seek asylum, flee persecution, and become, like these human beings, a refugee. And it's time that this country recognised their rights, upheld them, and freed them. Thank you, all our love and all our support, guys.
Thank you so much, Craig, and particularly for the Game Over campaign. It needs to be game over for detention. It needs to be game over for the torture that is being inflicted on refugees. If people could just keep inside of the cone so that